before we get going, we wanted to hear from you what questions in particular you're bringing. We did a general drop-in for Israel education resources for Yom Ha'atzmaut, but is there anything specific that you're bringing with you that you're looking for before we start jumping into what we're thinking about?
We just had this morning a Judaic Studies faculty meeting, and we thought how we can make a really celebratory Yom Ha'atzmaut when we are virtually. Usually we spend about 45 minutes to an hour and 15 minutes. The whole day school come together. We have Israeli politics, we have singing, we have a quiz, we have projects, we have different things that we do together. And now when we are virtually, how to do things that really will feel that this is a holiday and this is festive and this is fun. Although we are not doing it the regular way.
Great, thank you. Anybody else bringing questions? It's very helpful.
I have a question. Hi, everybody. I'm Karen Roman. I'm from Union Temple in Brooklyn. And we had a Shinshin, an Israeli 18-year-old who was on a gap year, who was really sort of the primary not the primary Israel educator, but really the conduit of our Israel programming in our once a week religious school. And he had to go home, which was very sad, and we're in touch with him. But I can't really count on him to sort of own things in the way that maybe he would have. And I'm trying not to put a lot of extra work on my teachers. So I'm curious about, things that are kind of, really deep and impactful, but pretty contained.
Deep impact, okay. Anything else? Okay, well, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, hi, I'm Roth from Miami. Well, I'm working with younger children up to 3rd grade, and it seems like the virtual is somewhat difficult for them. So I'm kind of like sharing an idea that we have, and I'm obviously will be happy to hear other ideas and to share. We are doing, when the gentleman talked about how to make it celebratory, we're doing with the big opening with the singing and the dancing and everything. And then each teacher is recording a certain activity, either related to a symbol or a city in Israel or an art with the flag, different things, and recording, putting on YouTube, and we are posting it. And the students' families can visit that anytime they want to do the activity after the whole group celebration in the morning. So they're experiencing different things, but with a familiar face rather than just something from the internet.
So that actually is a good segue. One of the things that we are all challenged with, and it's true for all of the celebrations we do as well, is we're thinking of taking what we're used to doing in person and mounting it somehow virtually. And instead, what I encourage us to do, and Sarah, I see Sarah DeWaskins here from Lev Children's Museum. And if you haven't taken a look at some of her resources, one of the things that we can do is to think differently about units of time and units of people, and when people are there synchronously, when they may be there synchronously but in smaller groups, how they enter, how we group people as opposed to by age. Are there other ways to group people? So to really step back a little bit and to challenge some of our basic assumptions about, do we have to do an hour? What if we did 15 minutes or 20 minutes to introduce something, let people go off, do something, and then come back and regather, right? There are these different ways of using the virtual platforms that aren't, let's just get together and do something together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to add something to what you were saying. I think it's extremely valuable.
Who's talking?
Valeria.
Oh, Valeria. Okay. Oh, there you are.
Hi there. I think it's extremely valuable what you were saying about it's not about the timing that we put, because we cannot control who's going to come. We cannot control the time. And specifically for Yom Ha'atzmaut, our temple is like the center of Israel celebration every year. We have like a mega celebration, and I was extremely upset that we couldn't be able to do something like the regular celebrations that we have been doing. So we are turning the day of May 3rd into a full day of activities celebrating Israel virtually. So I'm just throwing this out there because I think it's important to target different populations. It's important to plan for and to target the sessions for different ages, and to make sure, as I said before, to appeal to the 5 senses. So maybe we can have a half an hour session of cooking. And again, I don't know how it's gonna last. You know, you can plan for the best, but what we did is like a full day filling in the blank, different slots where Lev is gonna be, the Lev Museum is gonna be leading one of the programs for our younger kids. And maybe this is type of an activity that can help you guys plan and make Israel like extremely happy and celebratory for your community.
So-
Still, yes, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Still, I'm like, I was looking for more resources, and you know, we have like a scavenger hunt, we have a learning session with the Roth, we're gonna have a cooking session, we're gonna have a storytelling, like there is a little bit of everything, and still I feel that we're missing something, and I knew that I would find this here.
Okay, so what I have put in the chat box, and I will put again in the chat box, just in case someone came in after, a list of resources that we actually designed. It really is Yom Ha'atzmaut materials, and this can be found at our website, but we just created these in the past couple of days. If someone is not muted, who's not muted? Anne or Valeria, if you could mute yourself, we're getting feedback. Sorry, but it's just that. So we have pulled together what we think can be great sources of activities. They can be, there are some supporting materials there for you. And one of the questions that we can look at today is how you build that into an experience, right? As Valeria was talking about, like how you mix and match and use some of these. But before we do that, I want to draw your attention to the bottom of the page where it says virtual events, right? There are 2 ways to go about this. There are going to be 2 days where there will be a large kind of worldwide event that people, the first one you may have seen already advertised on Facebook. The second one is on May 3rd, and there are going to be different components to it, and people can join in and feel kind of larger than themselves, you know, kind of something beyond themselves. If you choose to do this, maybe you'd want to grab people before they all go on and then let them go, you know, to say hello, and then let people go off and maybe come back. Dan, do you want to or Laurie, if someone want to describe what these virtual events are?
Yeah, I'm happy to.
You all see them at the bottom there? Are you, Leslie, are you on the sheet? We can't hear you, but I put a link in the chat box.
People may not know that they can copy the link, go into their web browser, go to the link.
I'm just going to share it so you can see it.
We can do that at the same time? Okay, got it.
Yes, you can do it at the same time. That's what I was trying to get to.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. So at the bottom, there are 2 virtual events. Dan, do you want to talk about these a little bit?
Yes, that's great. So the thought behind it was, you know, you have one thing that happens midweek, obviously on Yom Ha'atzmaut, and also the idea of just for timing, having a bigger celebration when people and families are together on Sunday, May 3rd. So the first one comes from our friends from the Jewish Federations of North America, JFNA. And actually what's in the works now is initially they were looking at what they're calling a star-studded hour. And if you check back on this page and on our social media, we'll be updating it. They're looking at actually expanding it more than just an hour, especially considering the different time zones. But various actors, performers, people from Israel, and not just, there's gonna be some cooking and some debating of the best falafel is gonna be happening with various chefs, some stories that are gonna be shared, as well as music of song, and it's gonna be interactive, especially at the end with the audience that's joining in, and that's gonna be on Facebook Live, and there's a link that should be there as well. And they're encouraging people to post photos using different hashtag. The other one that's a little bit more robust in terms of time and pieces is in partnership with, you can see it on there, there's 6 different organizations, including the Eye Center, that are coming together, which is a wonderful thing to see, and actually creating an experience all together. And it's still actually being fleshed out. We're trying to figure out the best way to make it technologically easy for everybody, and also different time zones. But we're looking at 10 to 3 Central. And it's a variety of people like, if you're familiar with the Eye Center resources, we're excited to bring in Hanoch Piven again to do a project with people, not only in real time, but something that they can then take and continue to do on their own. Mayumana, it's like an Israeli stomp group that's going to be doing something, and again, there's various interactive pieces for this. There's cooking, there's music, there's going to be 3 different trivia game type things, from a scavenger hunt and a Kahoot, just different pieces that are coming together that people can come in and out of with their families, with their classes together. And that, again, we're also looking at doing it on YouTube, actually, so that it's just easily accessible on different platforms. Just join in, you can interact through the chat, and more information, again, we'll post there. We're actually, as soon as this call is over, we'll be posting sort of a save the date graphic on our social media.
Is everybody on the Eye Center Facebook page? Is that it? And on the Eye Center, is there an email list that goes out, Dan, or is that how you're going to do that primarily?
Yes, and it's exciting. I've actually been emailing with a lot of the people that are on this call today. And so whether it's a mass email that we send out, or feel free to just email with me or any of us on here, we can get that to you.
Great, great.
And people should follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and should go regularly to the website where we are updating regularly with all of these resources.
So
yes, please.
The reason we wanted to start with these larger events is because, first of all, you guys have been planning events and doing events, and it's exhausting. And here you have a couple of cool events that people can join into. They can feel part of a world larger than themselves, less isolated. These are the best of the best. Ben Platt's going to be there. I mean, what else could you ask for? So, excuse me. He's a Chicago guy, by the way. I think that's why he has
LA.
LA. Ben Platt was it from LA? Oh, I thought he was from Chicago.
No,
Oh,
he's from LA.
Okay, I'm wrong.
So I mean, I'd love to take credit for him, but I can't.
You should, Laurie. So anyway, so the first thing is, think about joining something larger than yourselves, and letting people engage with one another. And it's also something that you don't have to plan, and it's going to be high quality. So that's number one. Now, what I would like to do is to actually lift you up to the top of the page where it says Cool Israel stuff, cool Israeli stuff, activities from home for your viewing pleasure, Hebrew, and supporting materials. Right, so this is a compilation of materials that we think can serve as a good basis for your learners to either explore Israel, engage in interactive activities. There are some things here for the whole family. And I'm going to talk about a couple of them. Laurie, maybe you can talk about a couple of them if you
Great.
want.
Sure.
And all of them are linked, right? So we can sit and go over a ton of stuff with you, but we're not going to link all of them. We'll just kind of highlight. We're not going to talk about all of them now, but we'll highlight the ones that we think are, number one, easily accessible, don't demand too much planning, but have a good bang for their buck. So Laurie, I'm going to let you just pull out one that you want to pull out.
So the one I want to talk about is actually one of our older resources called The Man Who Taught Me to Fly. This was one of the first projects.
It's
that
under For Your Viewing Pleasure.
Right, for your viewing pleasure. This is a fascinating short video about an Israeli ornithologist who working with the Israeli army, created a way for the Israeli Air Force and Israeli air traffic in general to avoid killing mass numbers of birds. Israel is the nexus for all birds that migrate from Europe to Africa. And literally millions and millions of birds fly through Israel every year, twice a year. It's a place where people come from all over the world to bird watch. And this is a story of this guy, this scientist, who said, I'm going to find a way for birds not to be hurt and for pilots not to be killed through bird action, kind of what happened on the Hudson several years ago. And it's got a little bit of science, it's got a little bit of Israel stuff, and it's got some supporting materials. All the questions have been created, including the national bird of Israel and how the national bird of Israel was created. It's an opportunity perhaps for you to talk about your state bird and what are the characteristics of your state bird. The Israeli bird was chosen for its personality, not just how it looks. In English, it's called a hoopoe. And it's a very protective bird, but also an incredibly beautiful one. And it's a resource that we haven't promoted in a long time. It's one that a number of us spent many, many, many hours working on, and it's still one of my favorite go-tos. And it's perfect for young elementary as well as older elementary. It's done in sort of half cartoonish, half real photos, but mostly cartoonish. And so it really can appeal to lots of age groups, and parents can watch it with their kids and have really interesting discussions. And as I said, it comes with a discussion guide.
Thank you. And I want to add one thing. One of the reasons we thought of putting this now and lifting this up is because we are in bird migration season.
Exactly.
Now.
I was out looking at birds this morning. So.
And, the birds are coming here from Canada to the south and the East Coast. So, kids to even go outside their homes and to look and to see and to notice how they're like Israel, how nature, often we say, well, when it's Tu B'Shvat, it's snowing here and it's hot in Israel, there's no connection. Well, here's a physical connection with how nature works. So this is a favorite. Anything else? Anyone else? Dan or Natalie?
I'm good.
Natalie, did you have a favorite one you wanted to present?
Yeah, I mean, I am joined by my cat here, who keeps walking on my, I'm a huge fan of Israel Story, the podcast from Israel, the English language version of one of two that Mishi Harman does. And Mishi is actually going to be part of the May 3rd extravaganza. And we're also working on some special things with Mishi. But number 3 on the cool Israeli stuff is Mishi's, or the Israel Stories Mixtape podcast and companion pieces. And this is actually it's got a number of really amazing resources. You can listen to the 4-part mixtape podcast just on their regular site, but this is actually an educator's guide that comes with it. And you can actually watch also the live video. We had the pleasure of seeing them for anybody who was at ICON. This is a version of what they did at ICON. And for older learners, I think this is a great, older young learners, and for adult learners, this is a great resource. So I highly recommend looking at it and thinking about how it can be used as like project-based learning or inquiry-based learning, or really any of Israel Stories resources are amazing.
You could choose it just one story about Israel to play, and then have, it's a great model, by the way, for since families are at home, they can listen to one and then go and YouTube and create their own Israel story and tell a story, and then share the YouTubes, and you'll have all the YouTube links, and they can listen to each other's stories, even on Atzmaut. And the other ones I'd like to draw your attention to.
Leslie, can I just jump in on that one? Just one of the things that technically that I want to mention on Israel Story as well as the others is that we've tried to make it as few clicks as possible. So you can go to something like the Mixtape Companion, and we've embedded from Israel Story. We haven't even ripped it out of there, but you can listen to the episode right there on the page. You can watch the video right there on the page, all in one spot. And that's something we've tried to do throughout. So you get the framing, the download of any discussion questions, the materials, all in one link.
Great, thank you. So there are a couple I want to suggest that are great for elementary age children and for families. So one is Golda's Kitchen Cabinet under Activities from Home, and one of these. So in here, if you click on it, and you can get these are all stories about an Israeli figure and some cooking piece that is connected to that figure. So one of them, let me see here. So any of these can be used as, where's the cooking show one?
You're looking at Crash Test World? Sorry.
No, I'm looking at Golda's
Kitchen.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
So one of the things, because kids are so into, and families are so into things like Iron Chef and cooking, that they could take this and make all the ingredients are listed, and they could make a little cooking show video about one of these different recipes and who goes with it. What is Herzl? There's Golda. There are different folks that are connected with these foods, and they can make a little Israeli cooking video that they can then share with others, with the little bowls and everything like that. So these are very easy, very accessible. You can take a look at, you can choose one or two of them. You could have two families get together and try to create one joint video. And it's just a fun thing to do at home. And then on Yom Ha'atzmaut, you can come back together and share your cooking videos and maybe even eat together. We don't always do that, by the way. One of the things that I've gotten into, I don't know if you have had this, that people get together for dinner, just like we got together for Seder's, right? So why not get together for an Israeli meal on Yom Ha'atzmaut after you've cooked this and maybe made a little film of it? So that's another Yom Ha'atzmaut activity that I think could be a lot of fun. And again, it's one of those juxtapositions between, you can set it up, make sure people have what they need, they can go off and do what they do on their own time, and then they can come back and they can share. And so it's interactive, it's multiple modalities. So that's one piece that we suggest. We also have here, how many of you know Chanoch Piven? People are pretty familiar with Chanoch. So Chanoch has made an amazing leap online. And if you go to his, on this sheet also, there's the Piven workshop. And there's a video for him that he talks about what to do. And I actually was just at a session of a congregation in Cincinnati where Hanoch came in actually, and families presented portraits they had made of their family using his methodology. And he set it up a couple of weeks ahead of time. You can set it up a week ahead of time and give them the prompt, you know, your family or each of you individually, something that represents you. Go find stuff in your house. Everybody has stuff. Everybody's cleaning things out, right? So this is a great opportunity to go and look for your stuff. And then the way you do it, you don't have to glue it on the page. You can place it on the page and take a photo of it, or you can glue it on the page. And it's something families can do together. It's connected with Israel, and then they can come back and share, and they can take photographs, and you can of their creations, and you can, this congregation created a slideshow, which is, I believe, now on their website. So that's another easy piece. It's very Israeli, but it's very family oriented. You could do something about the family, if families want their connection to Israel as a family, you could give them a couple of different prompts and let them choose, right? So this is another easy, fun activity that you can celebrate what emerges right around Yom Ha'atzmaut. So there's one other one that I wanted to lift up, which is a viewing party. A movie viewing party, right? So we have this lights, camera, action. There are a number of short videos here. They're fun. And you could do, people could get popcorn and, or falafel, or I wouldn't have them get sunflower seeds, but, you know, maybe some Israeli something, some Israeli food, and settle in for a joint viewing party. And just like Netflix does, where everyone does it at the same time, and then they come back, they come together at a certain time, and they talk about which was their favorite and why. And we did put what the different grades are, and these are just some of the movies that we suggest. There are some TV shows, although I think we looked at the Beauty and the Baker. It's not quite appropriate for young
Not quite
kids.
appropriate.
Not quite. We looked at the subtitles. Nope.
Not appropriate. But maybe, I mean, for there are some great cultural things in that show. You know, and many of you probably know that America has now done their version of it that began last week, which is nowhere near as good. But they kept the names, which is just bizarre. Anyway, and it's much more appropriate. You know, unfortunately, the Israeli version, not so appropriate, but has some interesting things about, you know, the gaps between Yemenites and Ashkenazim and things like that. There's stuff to talk about with older kids. If you have a relationship with an older kid or your own personal older kid, I mean, I would have been fine watching it with my children, but I can't make that decision for other people's kids.
I also just want to jump in for a second to say that we're in the process of launching a series called Binge Watch Israel, which will be thematic blocks of TV shows with kind of watching guides for the first episode or so. And so Beauty and the Baker is one of them. We have some that are more about religious issues, some that are more about army and society or diversity. And those are, we're trying as quickly as we can to get them on the website. And the other thing I just want, sorry, go ahead.
I didn't want to interrupt, but that the Chicago Israel Film Festival is going virtual this year. And instead of being in November, it's going to be in May. And so it's going to be accessible to anyone, anywhere in the country. As soon as I have all the details, we can post that. And you will be able to access, there's a subscription fee, like, you know, as if you're buying tickets, and you can buy different levels of tickets depending how many of the films you want to see. All of the films are not currently showing on any streaming service, and if they ever showed on a streaming service, they showed very briefly, but that's another opportunity. So, you know, I'm questioning a lot about whether movie theaters are going to be a thing of the past. None of us know, But, you know, to be able to have a virtual Israeli Film Festival is something that we could highlight to our families, and there are a couple that are very family friendly, which is unusual with Israeli films. You know, you could encourage families to watch an Israeli film as sort of a homage to Israel. And somebody had asked a question earlier about kids' trips being canceled. And I'm happy to respond to that in a little bit, but you know, these are the kinds of things you can do in the absence of some of those experiences.
If I can just piggyback on that, this is where I feel I can maybe help a little bit more is some of the events like that, as soon as we have more information, we'll add it. I put in the chat another compilation page, but just so you're not going all over, if you just refresh, if you're on the Yom Ha'atzmaut materials page we're looking at, if you refresh it, you'll see that I added a little link there in the blue box. It's a compilation of various materials, not just for this age group, but beyond, for geared towards distance learning and collaboration. And on that page, we updated literally daily different online experiences as they, and I see that I have to update something on it actually, but whether it's these or music concerts or film festivals, so we will update it here as well for you.
I also, I don't know, Dan, I sent you, but we can also give you a link. The Jewish Education Project did a wonderful piece.
It's there.
It's there. Okay.
It's on the bottom. It's on the bottom of the Yom Ha'atzmaut list. If it's not there, just refresh. But it's under supporting materials.
Supporting. Oh, okay. So that came out. Sasha Kopp did that at the Jewish Education Project. That's on Monday, and there's also, I believe, a recording if you go to the Jewish Education Project's site. The other thing, I just wanted to go all the way back to the top. There were two things we didn't lift up. One is Crash Test World. If you haven't seen it, okay, I have to say, my very, very close cousin is the teen, he's now in his 20s, who built the skateboard park in Jerusalem. And it's his story of how teens in Israel built a skateboard park and how they kind of worked with the mayor to make that happen. There's another one about surfing for peace. These are really contemporary, fun videos for kids to learn about a side of Israel, and families, by the way. So that's another just fun viewing party. It may not even be something that you do together. It's just something that you send out for people and say, you know what, take an hour on Yom Ha'atzmaut or half an hour and watch something Israeli and tell us what you think. Or leave us a post-it on a Lino board or something. So there's Crash Test World. There are the videos there. Who Wants to Go to the Moon is about Breshit, is about the spaceship. There's also this Visit Tel Aviv Cut and Fold City thing where this is for younger kids, where they're little models, paper models of different transport vehicles in Israel. They're cutouts and they're adorable. So for younger kids, they're model building, to build and glue and have a little Israeli street in the house, right? And with their dolls, they can play Tel Aviv, right? So again, these are things that can make the leap from Zoom to home and back again. And so as you think about what you want to do, think about, I'm thinking about the experience as together, apart, like find opportunities for people to engage with Israel, but to maybe start with you and then branch out as families, or maybe families together and then come back together to share. The Tel Aviv models thing isn't working. Oh, Dan, that link isn't working.
Oh no, well, it's gonna get fixed while we're on this call.
Thank you. It's adorable. It's also on my Facebook page somewhere if somebody wants to look for it, if you're my friend on Facebook. So these are just different, these are different resources. They are opportunities. So there are the opportunities to celebrate together with others, as Dan suggested. If you go to the materials for distance learning and collaboration, you will see all of the activities that you can invite your families to take part in. And if you invite your families to take part in them, in these larger worldwide ones, make sure that you're connected with them, that you're connecting. Either you connect before or after, so you know what people are experiencing, and maybe even you can process afterwards. And then we are constantly updating new materials that are coming out. And you can do an Israel Palooza where you have over a week or over 2 weeks, different opportunities for families to engage with Israel. You could have, instead of doing it by age group, you might be able to do it by family group. The cooking show, cooking an Israeli meal, using the Golda's kitchen. And who's Golda anyway? And why do they say she has a kitchen? And why do they call it her kitchen cabinet? There's a whole story about that they can read and talk about, and you can ask them about. They can create a little film of them cooking. You know, all of those small things that become big things because they last. And they have visual memories that they can share with other people. So when we think about Yom Ha'atzmaut, because we can't do the big giant one day, we may be able to do smaller little pieces that are slow burn and a slow build. We're going to stop for a bit for questions. And the other thing, by the way, I'm just going to put this. Sarah Dawoskin was here. If you haven't seen Lev Children's Museum, she is on all the time. It's a children's museum in South Florida. It was originally designed to be these small little houses on wheels that travel from place to place. And so now what she just is doing is taking her museum on the road, and 3 or 4 times a week she does activities for kids and for families. She does it with her family. She'll be doing some Israel stuff as well. So you can, and she, by the way, will do anything for you. If you want her, she's one of my students. She's graduating. We're very excited. But she will work with you individually too, if you want her to do something for your families.
So we'd love to hear any questions, comments. Is there something you don't see that you wish we had that you would love to see us develop? We're really anxious to serve the needs of the practical educators out there. So.
Hi, Leslie. It's Marla.
Hi, Marla.
How are you?
Good.
The only thing I was going to say is these are great, and I've used some of them. I feel that the K-5 listing at the top of this page really should be expanded, because there's so much in here that I would be inclined to use with teens.
We have a whole slew of stuff for teens. What we wanted to do, absolutely. And we have more materials for teens that we didn't include here. We wanted to be very focused in this event, this meeting, for things that are appropriate for this age group. We can do another drop-in just for teens.
Yeah, I'm just saying I would use a lot of this stuff that you have already for teens.
You can use a lot of it for teens. The point here though was you can also use it for elementary age. I would use, by the way, for teens, if you haven't seen it, just a second. She's gonna blush, but this is Natalie, our very own Natalie Blitz's book called The Truth About Leaving, which is a wonderful young adult book about Israel and about Israel, about Israeli teens and about American teens. It's a great young adult read. I actually have to tell you, I couldn't put it down. So it's a lovely book group piece on Israel and on the relationship between Israel and the United States. So if you haven't read this, and you see that author who's blushing there, Natalie Blitt, you can bring her in for an author session. She'll come right in and spend some time with your family. So this is great for teens. It's one of my favorite things actually to do with teens.
I used it at camp last summer with an entire Edah of chalutzim, which are kids who come for 7 weeks in Hebrew immersion. We let them read a book in English and do a discussion in English, and it was amazing. The kids have lots to say.
Yeah, I just put the title in the chat box. Because it's about relationships, it's about Israel, it's about the Israeli army, it's about an Israeli that comes to America, expectations of Israeli kids, expectations of American kids, all the teen angst that you could ever want in the universe, it's all there. So, and we can, Marla, put together something more for teens. Anything else? Any concerns, questions, thoughts, something that like, oh, we could use this like this. Why didn't you mention that? And you can say, hey, this is a lot to absorb. I want to look through it. And that's fine too.
Hi, Leslie, it's Ben. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes.
My only question is, because I'm coming in a few minutes late, and forgive me, were you able to talk about interactions with Israelis on Yom HaAtzmaut and around the experience, the cultural experience of being part of Yom HaAtzmaut? Something that can be arranged with a religious school in that time frame without, because I realize in the world of Zoom, we're not bound by our local borders and our local resources. Is there a way to access people in Israel who are interested in talking about their experience or what it's like?
So we did not talk about that specifically. We did talk about these virtual events that are at the bottom of the page that are actually virtual to Israel and the United. I mean, they're worldwide events. Bye, Karen. She's hopping off. Where are you? Bye. Good seeing you. So that is one way that we are connecting in terms of face-to-face. And well, we've actually been talking about that amongst ourselves. And the first place we suggest that folks look are in there if they have sister cities. I don't know, where are you located, Ben? Can't hear you.
Philadelphia.
Can't hear you.
Oh, Philly. So does Philly have a sister city?
Yes, they do.
So, we can help make those connections with the sister cities. Or that's not my area. So
I can respond to this a little bit. So the movements also have partnerships. I'm more familiar with the Reform movements because that's the one I work in. But I have partnerships with 2 schools in Israel, and we have continued our partnership through the quarantine because the Israeli kids are as anxious to look for connection as our kids are. So we're doing it through Padlet, and we're doing it through kids having made when we Zoom called before the shutdown, our kids exchanged a lot of information so that they could message each other on Instagram. And so that's continuing also. I imagine though, if you contact your federation, they might be able to put you in touch with a principal or somebody who might be able to partner you with a class. If not, the World Union for Progressive Judaism has an arm that is doing partnerships. It's called Yachdav. And we found that to be really successful.
Isn't that Reut Neumann who's doing that?
It is Reut Neumann.
Yeah, she's very responsive. Here's the thing I would say, especially around Yom HaAtzmaut, because this was kind of focused on Yom HaAtzmaut. These conversations are often built on building relationships over time. And what you do when the schools come together, when these 2 groups come together, is really important because you need a foundation for their connecting. So it could be an Israeli family sitting down for dinner and an American family sitting down for lunch and eating the same meal and talking about, one's a little American food and one's a little Israeli food, and sharing what their favorite foods are, something that is authentic and that people would do anyway, and that creates a natural, if you will, platform or table for dialogue. So that's the thing I would be, or to view a film together, right? To view one of these films together. Something that is, because conversation can be stilted, but doing something together, then whatever they're doing together serves as the medium or the mediating force through which they can speak. So, so we are here, and if you have any questions about the virtual events, any of the materials, we're really hard to find. Dan is dan@theicenter.org. Natalie is natalie@theicenter.org. Laurie is Laurie at the iCenter. I'm the hardest one because my name is Lesley, not Leslie, but it's Lesley@theicenter.org. So any one of us and lots more can really help you sort through some of this. But we hope that some of the underlying principles, which is you can do multiple events, you can do smaller events, you can do events that start together, separate, and then come back together. You can be part of some smaller things and then come to the virtual events together and then share your thinking about the virtual events, or create like like an online Google Doc or a Padlet or a Lino board where people can just post what they're thinking or post their responses so that you can get that in real time. So that's what we're thinking.
And we all have put up, and they will be, I think, posted later today, our consultant hours, so that you can schedule time with any of us for one-on-one. We're happy to do that, whatever we can do to support you.
That's actually already, it is updated. I just got an update during this, and that is available if you go to, again, theicenter.org/community, or just go to our homepage. There's a button there. You could, again, easy, just click on it, find a date and time that works for you, and you can do it through Zoom. It's all set up for you, Zoom or phone call, and you can have Lori all to yourself from the comfort of your living room.
Yeah.
Good seeing everybody. I hope that you are staying safe and well and healthy, and that those you love are safe and healthy. And it'll be good to celebrate a little bit Yom Ha'atzmaut. Now that we don't have to eat matzah, we can eat falafel.